Keep in mind that additional complexity allows for greater flexibility. Hey friends, welcome to the channel. I'm Tirso. Moving right along with my grid videos. In this video, I'm covering 5 and 7 column grids. They are my favorite grids, in particular 7 columns. In theory, the more grid lines you have, the more flexibility you have. There is, however, a cap to that. The cap in my own design process is 7 columns. I would confidently say that I use it in about 90% of my projects, but sometimes the content just doesn't work, and we'll look at that in the examples. I want to do this a little differently, so if you haven't seen my other grid videos, I highly recommend, since I explain more of how to work with a grid in those. I'll link the modular grids video in the corner, and the rest you can find on the channel. This video will focus more on how the space changes depending on the grid. Odd column grids outside of 3 columns can be a little bit more difficult to work with because they aren't symmetrical. We will get through this together. Here is how I use 5 and 7 column grids. As I mentioned, these are my favorite grids, so I thought it would make sense to use content from one of my favorite brands, which is Leica. Fun fact, Leica is actually a portmanteau. The founder's name was Ernst Leitz, and since they make cameras, Lights and camera became Leica. Although this video is effectively my ode to Leica, I don't want to get sued. So alright, here is our 5 column grid. As we've done in other videos, you can pre-allocate columns for content. For 5 columns, it's immediate asymmetry. There are 2 main options for this, 3 and 2, or 4 and 1. Since most languages are read left to right, it makes sense the most important content is often on the left because you see it first. And if it's the most important content, it should have more columns. Starting with an image to anchor the page, I'm going to use 4 columns. Our head and deck can fit into the photo and align to the left margin. If you're new to the channel, head and deck are the editorial slangs for headline and subhead. So you could center it if you like, but in this approach, I wouldn't bleed it. If it's centered in the photo, it throws off the symmetry to the columns. If you center it to the margin, it throws off the symmetry in the photo. When we remove the bleed, then it feels more balanced. I'm going to keep it to the left. Next, we have 3 portraits of the original founders of Leica. We can line them up in the last column. We do need to unify them somewhat. Instead of boxes, I'm going to use circles for the crops. If I were to use this image as is, it would be too zoomed in. This is a preferred crop, so we need to extend the image to meet the edges of the crop. Same with these guys, they need an extension as well. I want to stop and talk about a few things. As you saw in the examples, you can't always use elements as they're provided to you. You need to control how they work for what you need, and that requires you to assess what you're looking at and improve it. Also, I'm always talking about making design decisions. Why did I use circles? Leica has a circle logo. A camera lens is also a circle. The circle provides contrast in shape to the box photo and the boxes of text. And last, the law of continuation. Your eyes connect the circles vertically and draws the focus down the page, which is where you want your readers to go. We have a little more work to do. I want to adjust the crops ever so slightly. For the top portrait, it's the only one with a sepia tone, so we can turn it grayscale like the other 2. Let's get the text in there. Reminder from previous videos, the grid determines your text point size through line length. This text is at 8 points. Off the bat, 4 columns is too long. At 3 columns, we're at 87 characters, which is still too long. 2 columns is 60 characters, which is the proper range. Now, I've also said in other videos you can use half of a column as an imaginary grid line. At 2.5 columns, the line length is 72 characters, which is at the top of the range and is the widest you should run text at this point size. For this, our hero photo is using up 4 columns. I want to mimic that by having the text take up the same width like this. The text is pretty even. I can easily balance out the columns by typesetting. The image needs to shift up so the text fits within the margin. Right now, the image is a block, the text is a block, and they're both on the same side, which adds a lot of weight on the left side. Let's balance that out by aligning the text opposite of the image. We do have quite a few more images to add here, so the portraits are probably too big. I can scale them down into this nice little space we have on the left side. There are two historical images. We have room in this top right area. They should also have some captions. And last, we have the original Leica camera. This is really the only pocket left. This area here is really hard to distinguish between the photo and the camera because it's black and white on black and white. To alleviate this, we have to create some space. When trying to create space in your layouts, look for which elements have flexibility. I like how these are fitting, so I don't really want to touch them. The crops here could get shorter, but that would only give us more room vertically. We have the most flexibility in the crop of the hero image and the height of the columns. Ideally, the camera comes further down so that we can see more of it on the white background. We can adjust like this. I'll zoom in so you can see the change. For further separation, I'm going to darken the background and brighten that corner of the camera. I have a deeper caption for the camera. I think we could remove the grid at this point. Final touches, I use circles for the portraits, but it's not really represented elsewhere on the page. Since Leica is known for the red circle, I'll just commit to that. Not sure if you've seen my video on balance, but I tend to like things in threes. I also like things in different sizes. I'm going to add a small circle at the beginning of the body copy as an indicator. I can add an even smaller one at the top as a period, and that's my layout. Let's talk about what's going on and what I think is working well. I like the movement happening here, which brings your attention down the page. The image and body copy balance each other nicely, which was a conscious decision earlier in the process. These areas also balance each other nicely. Even though there are 3 portraits versus 2 images, the circles relieve some of that weight in that area. This moment of overlap creates depth, and we're emphasizing the camera even more with the callout. Now, let's compare this to 2 columns. This would be a 2-column layout. I mentioned earlier that you have to look for areas that have flexibility. We do have the image and text again to play around with, but it's limited. At 3 columns, the extra grid line helps create space for the historical images. We lose the moment of overlap. If I bring up the camera, it feels more grouped with the images rather than giving it its own moment. 4 columns, we're getting there. This is just a personal thing. I don't like how 4-column text looks, which doesn't actually mean anything to you, but just me being petty. I did not typeset this one so that the text purposely looks messy, and hopefully that deters you from liking this option too. And then 6 columns, we finally made room for the portraits. The circle didn't fit as nicely as I would liked in that space, so I opted for an outline instead. In this option, I like that the column widths of text aren't equal. I can remove the grid so you can see that better. For me, these 2 layouts are great options for the page. I would probably choose the 5-column because I get my circle motif and the portraits are a little bigger. Let's do another example. Disclaimer that these are actually photos of the Q2, but since I own a Q, we're gonna go with that. Here's our title. I often use a photo to anchor my layouts. For this one, I want to do something a little more graphic using the letter Q. Last example, I showed you can split the columns like this or this. The Q is mostly symmetrical, so I want to anchor it to the center using these columns like this. Obviously, we can't read the rest of the title, so I'll use the red color right away, and this will align to the left of the margin. Let's zoom in. I want this bigger so it breaks into the counter of the Q. When you have text over text or even a shape, you have to watch out where the edges touch and relieve any tension. The deck can go underneath. Since I've centralized the Q, the camera really needs to be the focus of the page. Here are the options. I kind of like the camera facing left since it aligns nicely with the title. And to keep it simple, I'll also use the front-facing option that's a little bit bigger. Now for our text, in the 6-column grid option in the last example, I like that the text had 2 different widths, so I'm going to do that here. The first column will be 2 columns and the second will be 2.5 columns. I don't have that much space, but I do want a little more difference in the height of the columns. I was trying to make more room here so that this forms a channel of white space. We have the space left for the image. I took this photo just last year at Paris Photo. It was one of the best exhibits I've ever been to. All right, let's remove the grid. Something I want to adjust are the highlights on the top right of the camera here and here. The separation is nice, but to me, they feel more like a halo. Okay, that's our layout. It's simple, but I think the elements surrounding the cue add depth to the layout. I like how the title is centered to the lens of the camera on the right. It creates a nice interaction between the two elements. The tail of the cue almost points towards the photo. Ideally, the eye follows along this line. The contrast in the column width of the text alone gives focus to the body text simply because you don't see this that often. So this is what I did for a 2-column layout. I flipped the color because of legibility. I don't mind it. This is an option as 4 columns. Again, I don't know why I'm so averse to 4 columns, but at least the camera is nice and big. Because it's so dark visually, it feels better at the bottom. I moved it up in the 3-column grid layout. It's slightly smaller because of the column width, which reduces some of the weight. Surrounding it with lighter areas balances it out. And then the 6-column grid, I think I like this one the best, but I have a caveat for this. Design is always a process thing. This column of white space here, I would have never looked at a 6-column grid this way until after I started using odd column grids. For that, I would have probably designed the page more like the 3-column grid because it wouldn't have crossed my mind to run the text at different widths. So many comments from you guys asking me about which grid to use and when. I wanted you to see how the space changes depending on the grid first. On that note, 7 columns has completely changed the game for me when it comes to laying out a page, so let's move on. Using the same content, let's lay it out as a 7-column grid. Just like the 5-column grid, I'm going to align the cue to the center using the middle 3 columns. We can drop in the rest of the head and deck. Last time I used the camera in this top corner. It's so far away from the title that it's a little harder to make that relationship. I'll use the photograph instead. A little too tight, I'm just gonna cheat the cue over. I really did like the camera nice and big at the bottom. I'll give some space on the left, but it's right aligned to the margin and it's roughly the middle of that column. For now, I'll just run this across using 2 grid columns for each text column. I wanna move this last column over so that column of white space breaks up the text. This column directly leads to the camera, spanning 4.5 columns, which breaks the grid. We do need to do some work to get the text to align. I feel like this area needs an element to balance the camera. Something I say to you all the time is if you can't do it through image, do it through type. I can isolate an intergraph to reflect the rectangular shape of the camera. We still need to push the text to align perfectly. I can inset the text. Like I've done in previous videos, the inset is half the width of the gutter, so I'm at least using a proportion of the grid. It looks off because we can't visually see the boundary aligned to the grid. To emphasize that, I'm adding a subtle gray to the background of the boxes. Let's fix this orphan here. The camera can get smaller, but still centered across the 5 columns. It's floating, so this area still needs to be resolved. Since the camera is no longer aligned to the grid, it needs something to connect to. I can extend the background of this column all the way down and then bring back the red circle motif, which gives me some color at the bottom, and it also relates to the cue. Yes, the text needs to read, but how convenient that it has a background so it can just come to the front, which gives a moment of overlap. Let's remove the grid. I think this works well. In a 7-column grid, you will almost always have this extra column, which gives you flexibility to remove information or add more. If you absolutely needed to, you could add a list of accessories. They are small. Where this works for me is the extreme contrast and scale with the camera. It creates a moment of focus where you pull the reader into the layout. If you saw the Gestalt Principles video, this is a figure ground approach to the information. I would say if you're struggling to create white space in your layouts, 7 columns is a great approach. The more content you have, the more you'll want or need more grid lines, which is why 7 columns is so flexible. Keep in mind that additional complexity allows for greater flexibility. That hopefully sounds more profound than it actually is. It also sounds like with great power comes great responsibility. Another way, and perhaps a simpler way to create white space, is to increase the width of your gutter. Mind you, I'll reduce the amount of text so I can fit another section. starting with our headline aligned to the left margin, which is a natural place to start. Now the deck. It can go underneath the title, but we can also use the last 3 columns. This creates a difference in height, which starts to break an imaginary horizontal grid. The Gestalt principle of proximity suggests that these two should be closer together, so I can align the title. You've seen me do this before. What it does is move the trapped white space to the outside. So this becomes a little puzzle. The camera can fit here, the photo can follow next to it. The space in between is the same as the column width. Things like this, you don't have to be so technical. However, if you use the grid, or at least proportions of it, you can have confidence the space is balanced every single time. With the photo elements, we're already creating some movement because they are the first things you see. The list of accessories can fit horizontally in the rest of the space. We conveniently have 4 columns, 1 for each of them. Let's zoom in. We need to balance this out. First by aligning the text to the top, and then the second and fourth captions can be broken so they all have 2 lines. We can align the images horizontally. This needs a subhead. I do want an element to connect this section to the rest of it so it's not floating. I like things simple, so I'll use a rule. Through the Gestalt principle of continuation, this draws the eye to the photo on the right. For the bottom section, I have some content about the Leica headquarters. I love that it is shaped like a film reel. It is very meta. Since I used a proportion of the grid for the space above the photo in the top right, I used a proportion of the grid to place this photo as well. It is twice the width of the gutter. The copy can fit in the last 2 columns. I want the image closer to the text, so I can bring the crop in to half of the gutter. Let's remove the grid and see what's going on. I think a rule would help to separate the tool. It doesn't need to be that thick, just noticeable enough. I feel like the top section is too black and white. I was originally thinking to make the rule red, a nice distribution of color. However, Leica is a red circle and a red line is canon. Would anyone ever question this or think about that? Probably not, but this is where I always urge you to figure out your own reasons for your design decisions. I do want color in this area, so I'll use a teal to pair with the doors in the photo below. Cool, that's our layout. Let's look at how this changes with the other grids. Here is a 2-column layout. I feel like with 2 columns, you're pretty much bound to honor the symmetry. I mean, it's clean. I didn't have enough grid lines to add the accessories. Also, the larger image made more sense on top for this. With a 4-column layout, I treated them vertically. The text here is cut off at the half column. It also became larger to accommodate the line length that matches the grid. Here is a 3-column layout. Again, not enough grid lines for the accessory section. This can be adjusted in a 6-column grid. Now I have grid lines to use for the accessories. I also did this as 5 columns. I do have these evenly distributed here, but it's not really following the grid. No one would really know, but it is not about people knowing. It is about me not knowing peace until it's fixed. That is how I use 5 and 7 column grids. Like I said, master the other grids first and then try these out. The next video on grids finally will be how to choose which grid to use. Drop any questions, or if this video was helpful, show some love in the comments, explore more on the channel, and I'll see you next time.